Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hi Podcast. I'm Dad. This is your boy, the one and only Joey Two Bananas.
And this is Franklin the
Don't
Tanklin
fucking do it.
looking for a Spanklin. The Star Spanklin banner over here.
Don't forget Mumra.
AKA Mumra, the ever-jizzing.
You're a horrible individual, and I don't know why we're friends. So welcome to episode 4. I would like to say the last episode was an unmitigated disaster, but then I'd be stealing episode 1's name.
It was more of a clusterfuck.
You know what it was?
This better not be a start of some long-winded apology, okay? Because you need to stop apologizing.
Apologies. The Heracles of apologies.
You need to stop apologizing.
No. It wasn't. It's just saying that that's where we're at. We kind of realize what our issue is, and we're going to take it from the top. We're going to do this sauce right this time. We're not going to get lost in the sauce.
Now you're going to get what you get from me, at least. Fuck this guy.
You tanky bastard. You know what? I don't even know how to get you back on topic.
What are you talking about?
We haven't even introduced the topic.
You are... Well, we got to do a little back and forth first before we introduce the topic. You are the one who loves to derail us. I just go along with your shit.
I'm sorry. The entire conversation about Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubbles was not a derailment. That was serious conversation that needed to be said. Everybody's thought it. Nobody followed up on it.
Betty was bae, though.
Betty was bae.
Betty was bae.
Betty
like,
was bae.
For real, though? Like, both of them had the most annoying voices ever. Betty and Wilma.
Yeah.
Like that shrill Fred voice.
But like that was the whole thing, right? That was that whole 50s, like, to the moon kind of.
But imagine, like, getting in them prehistoric guts, right? And hearing that shit. Oh, shit, Fred.
So, going way off topic and going weird with it, since you're talking about getting in prehistoric guts, Bam Bam used to always say Bam Bam whenever he did anything. He'd go Bam Bam and smash something. Yeah. I could have sworn there was like a spin-off where they were like teenagers or something like that.
There was.
And then they were like dating and maybe they got married at the end. I don't know, something like that. It was like,
yeah.
So adult Bam Bam and Pebbles, like what? They're making babies just say Bam Bam Bam.
He outgrew that.
I'd hope so.
If you ever watch the show, like the cultured man over here, if you watched a damn show, you would know that he spoke like a regular ass person by the end of it.
That's no fun.
I know. He still had his Bam Bam moments, right? He was still Bam Bam. But you figure in the heat of the moment, like that shit just comes out.
Bam! Bam!
Oh God, Pebbles.
Bam, bam, bam. Bam, right in the kisser. Bam, right in the kisser. Bam. What was that, Family Guy?
No, that's the Honeymooners.
There was an episode of Family Guy that explained why Lois's brother hated fat people or something like that.
The mom was having an affair with Jackie Gleason.
That's what it was.
Who played the Power Right in the Kisser guy from the Honeymooners.
I even got the catchphrase wrong. I'm not a man of culture. Well, you know what happens when your kid walks in? You need to discipline them.
Whoa. Somebody needs to get some socks and sandals for this guy with that segue he just wrote in on. You get this guy a fucking Hawaiian shirt and a fanny pack.
Dude, I don't know how else I was going to get us on topic when we're talking about Jackie Gleason and Bam Bam.
So, if you want my opinion, right? Lois's brother wouldn't have turned out that crazy if he was just disciplined a little bit. Bam Bam probably matured into a better teenager, into a teenager that could actually speak multiple words because of Barney and Betty's discipline as he was growing up, because that kid was a wild child.
I don't think you're making the point you think you are, because when you say, hey, he's doing good, he's a teenager, he can say multiple words.
He went from saying bam bam to speaking in full sentences.
You know what? I ain't gonna lie. We knew some teenagers in high school that couldn't say multiple words.
I mean, there was that one guy on the football team that, like, every 2 seconds he'd be like, I want to suck on a titty.
You gotta be kidding.
I'm not kidding. And then the other one that would be like, oh man, I gotta take a dookie. Coach, I would have been on time if I didn't have to take a dookie. Anyway.
Discipline isn't just disciplining your kids, right? Or being disciplined yourself. It's actually, and I wonder if there's a weird etymology about that, and that discipline comes from the fact that it was something used to instill discipline. I don't know the etymology there.
So
you're going to ask me what the word etymology means.
So, point number one. I feel like this is the word etymology. You say that, and I'm thinking animorphs. Like,
let me put some emphasis on that word. Etymology is it means the history of a word.
Cool. All right. So go back and say what you were trying to say.
So what I was saying is that as I was speaking, it actually kind of hit me. I was like, wait a second. Is the word discipline currently used to mean, like, you know, when you physically punish somebody, or however you punish somebody, because you're trying to instill discipline in them, as in like a disciplined soldier, a disciplined employee? Like, did that word come from essentially meaning discipline?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I think from the dad perspective, I think when we hear the word discipline, we hear, how do you reprimand your kids? What do you do to make sure that your kids do what they're supposed to do? How do you deal with their quote unquote fuck ups?
Right? Easy, the belt.
I mean,
I've actually, full disclosure, because we're bringing it back.
No.
Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back,
God,
bring
no.
it back.
I'm not ready for that.
I've actually never hit my kids with a belt.
No?
Even though I used to get tore up with the belt. My dad had special belts. Go to the broom closet for the special belt if you were acting up.
Oh, man. So I'll get into a little bit of a story about that. I have hit number one with the belt several times. And the latest time was actually pretty recently.
Like within the last year?
Within the last month.
Damn.
2 months. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that he's been kind of walling out a bit. He's been getting into issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, not to get into it that early on, but it didn't feel right, man. It really didn't.
It feels like you're abusing him, right?
At this point. So number one is 10 going on 11.
Yeah.
But think about it. When we were that age, getting hit with the belt was normal.
I don't remember a time where I wasn't getting hit with a belt.
I mean, you could be 14, 15 years old. You could have hair on your nuts, and your mom would still come in and try to hit you with the belt.
It took you to 14 to get the...
I don't remember when I got hair on my nuts. But when you say discipline, and I think discipline is like dealing with negative reinforcement, right? Like,
yeah, but hold on. I derailed your story.
Yeah.
You're going back to what prior to the story. You were saying how...
I ended up hitting him with the belt recently.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like when I think of discipline, and that is what I think of, right? Hitting your kid, or taking something away from them, or doing something in response to something that they did, right? And we used to get hit all the time, right? Well,
all
you
the
did.
time.
You did. I was a good kid.
Lions.
I was a real good kid. I was a real good kid.
I was a good kid too. I still got my ass whooped. I got beat sometimes because my brother and sister were acting up.
Well, because you're the oldest.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That's parent logic 101, and it's bad logic.
It is bad logic, but
that's like you punish the best performer at the job because somebody else is doing really shitty.
Doesn't that happen though?
No. Well, actually,
who do you give the most work to? The best performers, right? Because they actually get it done.
Son of a bitch.
The worst performers get off easy.
It's institutional.
Yeah, it just happens. It's normal.
It's institutional anti-exceptionalism.
Yeah, I ended up spanking him pretty recently with the belt, and it
felt wrong.
Yeah, at the end of it, like, and you know, like, I was mad.
Mad at yourself or mad at him for making you do it?
Mad at him because he did something really wrong.
Yeah.
He came home with a referral from school, to the point where the school was like, listen, he keeps getting these. we can't do anything about it.
Don't they kick him out of a school after a certain point?
Yes, exactly. And he's had enough where it's been, you know, a concern. So I was frustrated. I was mad. And like, I didn't know what to do. I tried everything already. Like, I've talked with him. I've given him all these things he can do. Try to talk. Try to be like a human being with him.
You try to gentle parent it out with him.
Yeah, and it just didn't work. So like, I gave it up. And in that moment,
to the old ways.
In that moment, I went back to the old ways, and I whooped that ass. I whooped that ass so bad. And at the end of it, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is not good. Like, holy shit. This isn't like.
You think our ancestors, our parents ever felt that way? After whooping our asses?
Maybe.
I doubt it.
Maybe.
I don't think this is going to sound weird. I don't think they were self-aware. I think they had way too much more going on in their lives than we do now. We live comparatively easier lives. I think they had way too much going on that they couldn't sit there and be like, I feel bad for whooping my kid. No, you got 7 other kids.
Right. Well, that's the idea, right? Yeah. You want every generation to do a little bit better than the previous generation. And we're at that point where we really shouldn't have to beat these kids' asses like that, right? We really shouldn't have to. And with all the information out there, and
but sometimes it doesn't work, bro.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Like, I get it. We both try to gentle parent, right? And we think that there's a secret. We all as parents think that there's a secret mix of new age ways of parenting that if you just do it right, you'll get that perfect kid. When in reality, people have been disciplined in the same way since we first came out of a freaking cave, dude. Like, right. At some point we got to say, like, look, when you mess up legally, you get punished and go to jail. The cop beats your ass and arrests you.
Right.
You mess up at home, you get your ass beat and get punished. If we do it on a institutional scale, there must be a reason to it. Now somebody's going to come up and be like, actually, that's the school to prison pipeline, and that's why things are bad in life. And you could be right, but people have been doing it since the dawn of time. It's only recently that we started being like, maybe we just kiss our kids instead of whooping them.
So I guess I kind of want to bring it back and ask you, like, how was it that you were disciplined growing up from your father and your mother?
So, God, I even warned my dad about this when I told him about the podcast. I was like, you don't come off the best. And I apologize, but I'm just talking about it from the point of view that it was. But I will say my father probably disciplined from a place of anger more than just a place of pure discipline. And my mother was going through things with her relationship. Like we were saying last episode, some people just stood together for the kids and they were miserable. And I think a lot of her disciplining came from the need of me being disciplined, but also out of frustration from where she was in her life and not being happy with her life and all of that. So I will say that I got overly disciplined sometimes to the point where, like, you know, hey, tell them you fell down the stairs when you go to school kind of deal. Oof. You know, like, I can remember literally like running and locking myself away in a room because I didn't want to get beat with the belt. And my dad being like, you want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about. You'll go to bed warm because I'm going to hit you so much, you know, kind of all that kind of stuff. And it sounds horrible. And I get it though. Like, he was a young dude. They were young when they had me. Dude, I was so much older than my parents when I had my kids. Like, my mom was 21 years old when she had me. Like, never lived away from her house until she had me from her parents' house. But so yeah, I got disciplined a lot from a place of anger and probably a frustration and not knowing any better, right? Like my dad was raised by his older sisters. You know, my grandmother had way too many kids. He was living with his aunt and uncle for a while out in Coney Island. You know, and my mother didn't have a father figure.
Right. He
started a second family. Oof. He mentioned this. He kind of just at one point was like, hey, yo, by the way, I got another family. Peace.
Later. Yeah. That's what those guys did.
You know, so she didn't really have that good that fatherly figure. So they kind of all disciplined me rough, man. Like, I got whooped. My mom beat me with a Bible one time. Like, straight up grabbed a Bible and fucking smacked me over the back. I don't know if she was beating the devil out of me or Jesus into me. It didn't work either way.
There was some intention there. Some sort of intention there.
I've had shoes thrown at my head. My dad tore me up, you know? So, yeah, I came from a place of very old school, very borderline abusive discipline. But what's funny is, like, when I complained about it, my dad's like, what are you complaining about? My mother used to whip me with telephone wires.
Jesus Christ.
You know,
holy crap.
Like, straight up, like, and I asked my aunts about it. I was like, hey, Titi, did this really happen? She was like, yeah, she would grab the old school telephone wires and grab like a bunch of them and just whip us. I was like, what?
Do you think like your younger siblings got it as bad?
Oh, hell no. Hell no. And my younger cousins didn't get it anywhere near as bad. My grandmother one time broke a freaking, you know, those Home Depot rulers that you get to like stir the paint, but you know how they got like the meter stick versions?
Yeah, they got like the big fat boys.
Yeah, she grabbed one of those one time, and my cousin, CK, you've met him.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He,
that guy needed a couple whoopings. Maybe he'll stop having all those damn kids.
One of my many neck tattoo cousins.
That's not the one with the 6 kids, is he?
It is.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait.
Guy breeds and gets another girl pregnant.
I think he's at 6.
You need to get that motherfucker on the podcast.
Yo, I actually texted it.
Sorry,
but no. She grabbed that meter stick. I don't remember what he did, but we both messed up. So when she came out and she's yelling at us, and then he said something. She took that meter stick, cracked it over his goddamn head.
Damn, those are thick.
Yo, like it split.
Holy shit.
Broke in two. So like she did that to us. Or like one time she made me jump in a pool right after eating lunch because I messed with the chlorine little bobber thing and the tablet fell in. What if I told you? Yelling at me in Spanish, you don't touch that. So she made me dive into the deep end of the pool and grab it. You dive after eating. I threw up my lunch as soon as I got out of the pool. Like I was throwing up. And she was like, next time don't touch what I tell you not to touch.
And aren't you not supposed to like handle that much chlorine?
Oh, not at all. You're not supposed to touch those tablets at all.
Bare hands.
So like that's that old school, right? But then my younger cousins, they would sit there and like back talk her, and she'd be like, "Ay, mijo, okay," and just like walk away. I was like, "You would smack me for looking at him you wrong. Like he just like cursed you out. What's going on?"
Holy crap!
Like, why are they getting it so much easier? Same thing with the siblings.
Yeah, no, that's weird, right?
Right? Like,
yeah. So I come from a kind of like the opposite scenario. I got beat once.
I don't believe you.
No, this is I'm holding up my hand. I swear.
I swear.
By the moon, I got beat only one time.
Only once. Only once.
I was 5, and that was the last time it happened
to you.
My discipline was more in the, when you're talking about the history of the word, right?
Yeah.
My discipline was a lot more focused around, are you doing the right thing at the right time? Are you doing what is expected of you?
Did you get that, like, I'm disappointed?
Yes.
Oh, really?
I did. And I'm the oldest sibling of mine as well. I'm the oldest boy. I'm older than all of them. I'm the oldest.
You're the true scion.
Yeah, I'm the true son. I hold the name.
Well, I said scion, but son works as well.
I don't know. I know the word scion, but what's the definition? I don't know it.
Basically, the true, like, inheritor.
Okay, there you go. That thing. Yes, I'm the true inheritor.
I put emphasis.
So yeah, I am the oldest son, right? And with that, there were some expectations on You have to manage your siblings. You have to do this. You have to do that.
Of
you
course.
have to make sure that, the bathroom gets cleaned every week. You have to make sure this. You have to make sure that. And
so you also clean bathrooms, and you gave me shit for that last episode.
Yeah, I know. Guess what? You know who cleans their bathroom now?
You?
The kids do.
No wonder the toilet's broken.
Yeah, I know. You gotta let things go sometimes, right? Everything can't be perfect. But anyway, so yeah, I was put in charge, and in terms of discipline, it's not like my parents were disciplinarians. It's not like they.
I can't really. What I can, but I can't see your mom as a disciplinarian because she's a teacher. So
Yeah.
I figure that she disciplines. She just has a better way of doing it.
Right. It's not, I'm gonna crack this over your head sort of discipline.
Yeah.
It's very much like it's very clear and outlined. This is what is expected of you. This is what you need to do. And if you fall behind those expectations, I am disappointed in you. Here's the thing, though. She does have it in her. My mother does have it in her because my younger brother, who's just a little bit younger than me.
Brother
right?
number 2.
Brother number 2. Hentai senpai himself.
The name he always chooses in Mario Party. Yeah. Okay.
He got beat all the time. Almost every day.
Really?
Yes. And
he's like the most gentle of the three of y'all.
Now he is. When we were kids, I was the gentle one. I was the calm one. And he was the, I'm not listening to anything. I have ADHD. I have this. I have that. Kid
I can't see
that wouldn't
that.
listen. I know. We flip-flopped. Like, we changed roles.
Well, did you flip-flop because of natural things, or did he get beat into flip-flopping? Did the discipline work?
Right. And, it's kind of interesting that you think about it, right? Because we had 2 completely opposite modes of discipline, right? Me and my brother. I was the expectations, and if you fall behind your expectations, I'm disappointed in you. Discipline, right? You have a job to do. You need to do it. And I would follow through. He had the, you are not listening to me. You will never listen to me, and I can only beat you to get you to listen to what I need you to do. And
Sheesh.
he did calm down. He did mellow out. Now,
He's one of the most mellow people I've ever met in my life.
But some may say maybe a little too mellow.
I can see what you're saying. I can see where that overcorrected. Yeah.
Like it's a little too much, right?
And then you got your number 3, who's like Goldilocks between the two of y'all.
Well, yeah, my number 3 is, from my family, is like your number 3, where they kind of just do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
They're little jits.
I told my brother, I was like, yo, Jay, Frank the Tank over here said you're a jit. He was like, I don't even remember why does that is. I've only met him like twice.
It only took one time.
I was like, it was the one time we were playing pool.
It's the one time.
And you cheated. He was like, I don't even remember that. I was like, Frankie does. It's from like 20 years ago. He remembers.
I'll never forget. He was like 12.
Yeah. But yeah, so
yeah, I mean, just
number 3 is the Goldilocks between y'all 3. But he is kind of, like you said, he's wild. He's like, I'm going to do me.
He kind of does whatever he wants, and he gets over with a lot of things. I mean,
he does, actually. Now that I'm thinking about interactions between your mom and him, like, he'll just do whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, yo.
He'll say whatever. And I feel like, your brother kind of falls into that category too, where you just like,
he got it easiest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like nobody wanted to hit him. He was the baby.
Right.
He was the one who needed to be coddled because he was the one who didn't understand what was going on the most with the divorce and all that. Yeah.
Right. And number 3 on my end was the one, I don't think he ever got hit either.
I was going to say, was he like hit but also disappointed, or he never got hit?
No, I don't think he was ever hit.
Well, he's much younger than your mom. Your mom would have been like my grandmother at that point, and like, I'm too tired to hit these kids.
Yeah, no, I probably, right? Yeah. I don't think he ever really got hit. I left the house when he was like 12 years old, and it's weird, right? Because the same woman was able to go into all the different spectrums of discipline at different times. right? Maybe it's because there was enough years between all of us, right?
Could be.
But the way it affected us, and I don't know for sure, is as an adult, I had to let a lot of the expectation stuff go in order to be happy. The stuff we were talking about in the last episode where I was killing myself because I had this idea of what a real dad should be and how real dads should act and what's the idea of a good dad and how it was killing me, kind of falls back to the discipline I received as a kid because I was the oldest. And what is the oldest brother supposed to do? What are you supposed to do as a kid? And
the whole trailblazer, the guy who has to cut a path for the other brothers and other sisters. Yeah,
and the expectations that were set on me, right? You have to do this. You have to do that, right? And so as an adult, I took that with me and it fucked me up, right? And I had to be able to, I don't know, learn some stoicism, realize that I have to let stuff go. I had to learn that not everything was in my control, that I had to be able to let stuff go. And maybe some of my like, fuck it attitude comes from the fact that the discipline that I received as a kid was very much so not fuck it. Like, you're a kid, just do what you need to do, right? And then on the opposite end, my little brother got the getting his ass beat every day. He would be told, clean your room, and he would just choose not to do it because he just didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And then he'd get his ass beat. I remember my mom telling me, talk to your brother. Talk to this kid because I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. Like, not for real, but like, just saying like.
You know what? She might have meant it because sometimes parents say that,
I've said it before. I've said it about my kids. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to cave his chest in. And it's out of anger.
That brings me to something I was going to add. What I was trying to interject earlier, what I wanted to ask you is, you were the kid who wasn't hit.
Yeah.
Your brother was the kid who got hit. What made you decide to be the father that hits? Because not only did you hit, like you said, recently, I will say there's something that has stuck with me from the day it happened till now, and I will never forget it. And it actually kind of guides a little bit how I raise my kids, in that when we were at your house, like 3-4 years ago.
I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
And your son was like misbehaving, wouldn't want to go to bed. You're like, you can either go to bed or I can hit you. You can hit me. And then we all just paused. I think, we were playing D&D at your house. We were all sitting around the table and we all just stopped and looked at you because nobody ever expected a kid to call the parents' bluff. Especially because I don't think he understood that you said hit and then go to bed. So in his mind, he's like, I'll just take the hit. And you just looked at us like, excuse me, guys, I got to go hit my kid.
So flabbergasted. I didn't know what to do.
And you looked positively defeated. And then you stood up, you held out your hand, he grabbed your hand, and then you walked to the room. We heard the door close, and then all of a sudden no, Daddy, no! Whack, whack, whack. And then we hear him crying, and you come out. You don't say anything. You sit back down. You take a breath, and you're like, whose turn is it?
He beat me that day. He legit, number one, just he defeated me that day.
Dude, like that has stuck with me, and that children don't understand sometimes that ultimatum. And I actually try not to give ultimatums like that because of that, because that boy went to bed with a beating and still didn't get what he wants, and probably had no understanding of, but I said I didn't want to go to bed. Why did I get beat and go to bed?
Right.
Like, that stuck with me. But to get back to the point of what I was saying is, like, how did you go from somebody who was never hit to somebody who's like, I'm gonna give my kid an ultimatum and then whoop his ass if he doesn't listen? Especially since you only got hit once.
Yeah, I only got hit once, for real,
bastard.
So I'll be real frank.
Yeah.
Dun-dun-dun.
No, wait.
I'll be real frank about this. It started from a place of frustration and anger.
Like, what happened with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. It legit.
It happens. Like, that's why I don't blame my parents.
It's.
You do the best that you can, and sometimes you run out.
I mean, number one, since he was little, has always been the type of kid to not listen.
Do you blame him? You try to take the boy out from the start.
What was it? -90 days.
-9 months. Homeboy was like, yo, you tried taking me out?
I'm gonna make your life difficult. Well, and it's kind of interesting now that you bring it up, right? Because he number one was always difficult, right? And he always gave me a hard time. And from the get-go, just tiring. Colic baby, like all the fighting, refused to listen.
Everything that could go wrong kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. He was a runner, right? So like we'd be out in public places and he'd run off into the sunset. Yeah. And it's frustrating, right? Like it gets tiring. Number two, little angel.
Oh, she was perfect, bro.
Yeah, little angel baby, right?
Well, besides the fact that she likes motorcycle boyfriends.
Well, she's a little frecca. I already know it.
When she walked up to those boys at what were we at, a quince or whatever we were? Somebody's wedding?
No, a baby shower.
Baby shower. And she walked up and like, what was she, like 2 years old? And like walked right up, cocked her hip and went, hi.
She was waving at like a group of little boys.
They were like 7-year-olds and she was like 2.
She's her father's daughter. I mean, what are you going to do?
Frecca.
And then, yeah, and number 3, it turned out to be just as difficult as number 1.
From my interactions with her, seems like if you took number 1 and gender swapped. Yeah.
Slap number 2's face, like looks on her, on number 1. So with number 1, when he wouldn't listen, and you say, as a dad, you say the same thing a bajillion times.
Every single day you repeat yourself.
You repeat yourself. And it gets to me, man. It used to get to me so bad. And there were times where, like, he would do something dangerous. He would do something that he knew he wasn't supposed to do. And it starts real small, as a little pop.
Yep.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And then you forget, like, if you keep track of how many times you do those little pops when they're that small, when they can't, like, communicate properly, it adds up. And what your parents probably did to you was probably that, right?
But I was a good kid. It never added up. No, you know what? You're right. Because I started off being like, I never want to hit my daughters. I never want to hit Lola or Chi-Chi. And Lola's actually the good kid. My oldest, Lola, she's the good one. But I kind of understand why I got beat as much as I did now. Because she's not purposely being bad. She just don't know any better, or she gets too excited and just does her own thing. And like the big thing now is she's a big girl. And I don't mean fat. I mean, she's like 9 out of 10 on the growth scale for both height and weight. While Chi-Chi is Chi-Chi because she's small like a chihuahua. And she's like 27th percentile for height and weight. So even though they're only a year and a half apart, she towers over her. And like sometimes she'll just like shove her. She goes flying. Like, my toy. Or she'll like push her and like she's just like a bobblehead. It's like blah, 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 and she'll hit the ground and I have to be like, Lola, no. And I get upset. And every now and like the other day I found like I grabbed her arm hard. When you grab them by the wrist.
Yeah.
But like I grabbed it hard and I could see like a little bit of fear in her face and like pulling it away, and I felt horrible. And like sometimes if she does something like, what did she do the other? She smacked her mother in the face. She's like, I don't want to, and like hit her mother in the face. I grabbed her. I was like, you don't do that. You respect your mother. And before I even realized what I was doing, I went out and I just smacked her on the butt. It wasn't hard. I wasn't like whooping her. It's like the way you would pat a dog almost, right? Like,
right.
But I hit her. And I realized how simple it is. And yes, she did wrong. Did it require that correctiveness? No, but it was such a simple, like you're saying, a little easy thing. Like they cross the line quick, boom, you hit. But it's not that far from the next time doing it again, the next time doing it again. Before you know it, I'm like, hey, take my belt off and whooping them. Like it
because it escalates, right?
yeah, it's
as they get older.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. We're trying to teach them, we're trying to discipline them, and we keep going further from what we wanted to do.
Right, because when they're that little, the pop is enough. The slap on the wrist is enough. I
had an entire conversation with my wife about that when they're like, you should never hit your kids. I was like, when they're so young, they don't understand anything else but like that sudden shock.
That jolt. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're not child psychologists, but
I wanted to be one.
Yeah, that is
but
true.
I couldn't pay the bills. Kicked my ass out.
We're not child psychologists, but it does work, right?
It works. And now people will say, no, you need to just gently talk to them or model. And I was like, that's all perfect and good. But when my daughter just took my other daughter's face and like slammed it into a table, I'm not going to model the correct behavior. I'm going to pop her in the back of the head and say, what are you doing?
Well, you're a human, right?
Yeah.
It's a human reaction. You got to protect both of them.
Exactly.
And the best way to protect both of them in that moment is to immediately stop the bad action.
Exactly.
Let them know that this is no bueno and find some way to mediate between the two.
Breaking your sister's nose is not acceptable. Like,
right. Yeah. Exactly. And what sucks is that, like, if you bring kind of like a lackluster sort of disciplinary action to that sort of bad behavior, it only escalates.
Dude, the neighbor kid, when I was growing up, he was, at heart, he was a good kid. But his father and mother were older. They were much older than my parents. And he was spoiled. He was their only kid. Miracle child kind of deal. Spoiled the hell out of him. That kid never was told no, was never hit, never had a hand laid on him. He was a terror. If you don't correct them, like you were saying, then they're not going to learn. And he was a terror, dude. Like, hit his mother, hit his father, yelled at him, threw food. God. Used to, like... get brand new toys and purposely break them.
No.
Dude, last I heard, like, my father told me years after we had moved that he met back up with him, and that as a teenager the kid was like being super just off the wall with his dad, like disrespectful. And I was like, oh my God, like, and like the kid had a good heart. Like, he probably could have turned out different. I don't know how he is now. I haven't talked to him since we were kids, but from what the last thing I heard, he probably could have turned out different if he just had a little more don't do that, a little more guidance, you know, not even judging parents because they were older, but like we said, once they get older, they kind of stop putting that effort.
Well, because you lose the energy, right? So I've even seen it in the 10 years, right? Oldest is 10, youngest is 2, right? They act almost the same way, my kids, right? I've even noticed the difference in my energy levels when disciplining the two of them.
100%, bro. I've noticed it too.
Yeah. Like,
you're a lot more permissive.
Yeah. And, you know, like...
and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, you learn more, right?
Yeah.
Like, I already have the experience of, number one, to know that beating his ass has just been a process that hasn't really worked out. If I still have to beat his ass when he's this old, then something's not right about that process.
Yes and no.
There's got to be a way to correct in a way that, like, fits specifically for the kid, is what I'm trying to say.
I think that's the key. Yeah. I think we go a little too far nowadays with the gentle parenting and breaking the generational trauma and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think we go a little too far in that, and we essentially throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, just because we now found better ways, because we understand psychology better to parent, doesn't mean that what we've been doing for 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years is wrong, right? Like, people have been hitting their kids since before we went from BC to AD, right? Like, we've been hitting our kids from the dawn of time.
Yeah, and you know what I found actually works better for me for actually number 1 and number 2? So I've never had to hit number 2. Like, seriously hit number 2.
Do you think there might be a gender discrepancy there?
A little bit.
Fair.
Yeah, they're both girls.
That's kind of my problem. They're both girls. Like, feel bad hitting Lola and Chi-Chi. Like, your daddy's baby girl. I'm sorry I hit you.
There's some inherent machismo, whatever bullshit in there.
Sexist, chauvinist pig.
Like even when we train in boxing, right? So I train, and let me go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I train in boxing with my kids, right? That's one of the ways we bond. That's my hobby that they've decided to take on. And it is so much easier for me when I'm mid training with number one to thwack him on the side of the head. He's supposed to be ducking underneath a punch.
Whack.
Yeah. But no, what I've noticed is I can go a good speed, right? When I call out a combo for number one.
So you'd be like left, right.
Yeah. 1 2 1 2 1 or 1 1 2 3, something like that.
Yeah.
And then duck, right? And I'll tell him, keep an eye on my chest, keep an eye on my shoulders. If you see my upper body move, duck underneath the punch, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for me to throw that punch out there in a pretty good speed, because I know, he'll be all right. But
even if I catch him, he's gonna handle it. Yeah.
But number two, it's like, she cries a lot easier and all that stuff, and there is a bit of machismo there. So I'll give you that, right?
Yeah.
That is there, right? So maybe
machismo.
Number two has always been a generally more obedient child, right? She's always listened more.
She also has a little more of your wife's heart.
Mm-hmm. Definitely does.
While number one's a mix of you and your brother-in-laws.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Kind of explains the differential in how they're treated, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. But what's worked for me now, right? And it's kind of a gender neutral sort of reaction to things. I slap him upside the head. I give him the comical slap upside the head.
You the Mo Larry Curly.
Yeah.
Whack.
And it's not hard, right? It's not hard. But it is a quick response to something. They do something they're not supposed to do. They're messing with something they're not supposed to mess with. It's a thwack, Hey, don't be doing that. What the heck's wrong with you? You know better than that. Because I agree with you when it comes to the thousands upon millions of years of reacting to things. You can't just get rid of that within one generation.
I don't think just because we found better ways of doing it doesn't make it wrong. Maybe it means we need to make adjustments. Think of it like the scientific method, right?
Yeah.
Just because something got proved wrong doesn't mean you're like, oh, well, we're never going to look into that again. You'd be like, okay, that might be wrong, but let me take a little bit of that, experiment on it, and see if it works better going forward. And iterations, right. You need to iterate. I think that's the problem with the whole generational trauma thing and breaking the whole cycle, is that we, as millennials, our generation, we came from a kind of weird setup, right? With our parents, Gen X and boomers and all of that. And with the growing up fully connected more than any other generation before us, in that we're now finding these ideas and they're more easily accessible than they've ever been before, which is awesome. But I think that's also leading all of us to be like, this is the one true way. Everybody's been doing it wrong, but now we figured it out. It's gentle parenting, or it's, not passive parenting, or no permissive parenting. We're finding it. It's like, oh, we found the Holy Grail. But in reality, no, we're just saying things that have been said from, previously, but now everybody's saying it at once because now we're all interconnected. Doesn't mean what was done in the past was wrong. Like, I don't like hitting my girls, but sometimes it works. Lola is a toddler. So sometimes I will try everything, get on her level, whisper to make her listen to me, say, hey, look at me in the eye, or hey, talk in a freaking Bluey voice, or a Mickey Mouse voice, or a Goofy voice. I will do every gentle parenting trick in the book. And she's just so preoccupied with whatever there is going on that she's not going to pay attention. And I can do the next step, which is just let them do their thing and then come back later. But that's not an option because she just slammed her sister's head into a table.
Right.
So I can't just be like, well, she's not paying attention, so I'll come back when she's more likely to pay attention. No. I need to catch your attention now and say, right, what you did was wrong.
The impact and her understanding and her realizing, like, okay, this is definitely something I don't want to do.
Exactly. Like, I could if she paid attention to any of the gentle parenting things, then I could try that. But since she wasn't, now I need to smack you on the butt really quickly. Not hard, like you were saying, like just almost a comical, like,
right.
Get you, huh? Hey, what you did wasn't right. That was wrong. Then I can talk about it. If she really doesn't listen, then it comes to the 3 count.
Right.
You got to the count of 3, and then you're not going to like what happens. 1, 2, and then I'm like 2.5, 2 3/4. 3.
Yeah.
By the time I get to 2, she's okay, daddy, okay.
Yeah.
And it kind of bothers me because I'm like, I don't want her to be afraid of me, but at the same time, I need you to listen.
Yeah, like the fear thing is scary. When they start being afraid of you, it's really...
The other day, she said something to me that hurt me, even though she didn't mean it the way I took it. She watches me play video games, so she sees me fight bad guys in the game. She's like, oh, bad guys. Who's that? Oh, they're bad guys. Now when she's playing, she's like, these are the bad guys, and these are the good bad guys. And so she now, whenever I'm like playing with her, I'm like, oh, I'm a monster or something like that. She's like, oh, daddy's bad guy, daddy's bad guy. And so the other day, she's like, I don't want bad guy daddy. I don't want bad guy daddy. Because we were playing like a monster chase game. I was like, oh, the monster daddy's going to chase you if you don't go to the bathroom and use the potty and take a shower. I don't want bad guy daddy. I don't want bad guy daddy. Bad guy daddy scares me. And I was like, oh, bad guy daddy scares her. She's like, bad guy daddy, go away. Bad guy daddy, go away. I was like, oh, that hurt me. And it wasn't even like I was disciplining her or anything like that, but just that little connection that means more to me than her hurt me. So then it's like, that now makes me question myself when I'm like disciplining her. I was like, oh, I don't want her to be so scared that I'm bad guy daddy.
Yeah, dude. And like I get it. Yeah. And like number 1 has gone there was a time where I would raise my hand and he would scramble duck. Not even just like flinch, like fucking scramble to get out of the way. And it's just like, no.
It's like, this isn't how I wanted to raise you.
Yeah. And to your bad guy daddy point, there was another time where I was trying to be stricter with them, letting them know, like, listen, you have responsibilities. You need to do them. You need to be better about this. Trying to flip the script, right? Instead of being the dad that hits, now I'm going back to my discipline when I was a kid. This is what's expected of you.
You were the certain kind of dad for so long. It's harder now, right?
Yeah. And it was harder. Because they were like, they started crying. Number 1 and number 2 started crying. And they were like, I don't like this. I don't like this, daddy.
Just beat me. That's easier.
And it's like, listen, I can't be fun dad if you're out here not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm normally fun dad. I'm normally chill dad. And they were like, we miss fun dad. We miss chill dad. Like,
yeah.
Just be that. Like, I can't because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You have me and your mom here cleaning up after you. You're big kids.
Yep.
Do what you're supposed to do. And it was rough because they were real straightforward. No, we don't like you like this.
I have a little bit of that problem too, bro. Because I'm the fun parent. So when I get called in to handle shit, they like Lola comes up to me like, Daddy, do you like after I like punish her or like get upset with her? Oh, Daddy, do you feel better?
Oh man,
are you okay now, Daddy? I was like, Daddy, Daddy's okay. Daddy wasn't mad at you. Daddy just needs you to listen. But do you feel better now, Daddy? I love you, Daddy. And I'm like, oh my God, like, am I scarring this child by punishing her? Like, oh, that hurts.
Oh, you know what though? You know what helps with that? Is I've gone the like little kid route of being honest with my emotions when I'm disciplining
that's actually
them.
a thing. Yeah.
Is it?
You're supposed to validate their emotions and then validate your own emotions to then explain why you feel that way. So yeah, that works.
Like legitimately, when I let them know that whatever they did has made me upset, I'm like, I am mad because you did this. I'm sad because you did this. I'm disappointed because you did this. Like, it helps them kind of frame it so that they know it's like, okay, Daddy's not going to be like this forever.
it's actually a good, it works twofold because it allows them to understand that not to be afraid of you, but it models the behavior for them. I can thank Daniel Tiger for this.
Daniel Tiger.
The Mr. Rogers spinoff, because there's an episode where it says something to the effect of like, when you're mad and you want to roar, take a deep breath and count to 4. And like, so my wife has done it more than me, but I've done it too. Like, say like Lola's done something that's like made me hurt myself. Like, she'll do something, like hit me with something or something like that, and I gotta be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll be like, Daddy, that hurt. What you did was hurtful to Daddy, and it made me really angry, but I'm not angry with you. It just hurt Daddy. I'm angry too, Daddy. It's like, okay, because you're basically modeling for them to explain your feelings and then work through them, which is something that they're supposed to be learning anyways, how to regulate their emotions.
Interesting.
So it helps. It's weird to be like, Daddy, angry, but you know, this, that, and another. And like, my wife's so much better at it than me, to the point where she does the whole, like, when Lola hits Chi-Chi, she'll be like, you hurt Chi-Chi's feelings. I know you have big feelings right now and you're feeling a type of way, but you hurt Chi-Chi. So now I'm going to take Chi-Chi and take her away from you so that she's safe. And if you feel bad, we can talk about it. Like, she'll do the whole thing. And I'm like,
interesting.
I would have hit her. I'm like, you did better because I would have hit her.
Yeah, no,
but it works because I see it. Like, she learns to model that behavior. Thank you, Daniel Tiger. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Wow. Yeah, like, I always, like, the way I get angry is I'm always starting from a neutral position.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of guy I am. I always start neutral. And then I can feel myself getting angry because my tone changes, and it's like little increases in tone. Little, like,
yeah, you have a gentle ramp up. I've known you long enough to see you get angry.
I don't go from 0 to 100. There's enough warning there for me to be able to throw in a quick.
Oh, you definitely don't go from 0 to 100, because if you did, you would have punched me that day when I accidentally hit you in the face with your own belt. But no, you're like, I'm angry. I will get you.
I'm going to get you. I did get you.
To explain the story, for some reason you took your belt off and I grabbed it, and we're sitting outside of school, like before classes, and I'm like snapping your belt for some reason.
I was fixing my belt and you snatched it. And you were messing around with it. I was like, give me back my belt.
And I like whipped it in your face, like thinking I was far enough away to not hit you. And then I smacked you right in the nose.
Oh, shit.
As my future wife was walking up to us,
I think she was like about to give you a hug or something like that. And I just like whack and just smacked you in the face with it.
This guy legit just Indiana Jones fucking whipped me in the face.
Whack.
In front of my, at the time, girlfriend, future wife. And I, like, my face flung back.
I hit you hard. I'm surprised your glasses still on your face.
I remember looking at you and just saying, I'm going to get you for this.
It made a crack. Like, everybody turned around and looked, and you did like one of those, like the Undertaker, like when he gets knocked out and he slowly rises up, your neck just slowly came back to position. You're like, and I could see like your face ready. You're like, I'll get you. Like Claw from Inspector. I'll get you, Gadget.
What did that revenge take, like a month later?
No, it was like 2-3 weeks later, and like I was flinching every day. Every day you'd be like, hey buddy. I'm like, oh. And then I'm just one day walking with you and our other friend, and I'm just bullshit. We're talking, and then out of nowhere we're on our way to class.
Mid sentence,
like I was like, hey, what do you think we're gonna talk about? You just decked me right in the stomach, knocked the air out of me. And then the both of you, without breaking stride, the both of you, you're like, that's what you get. And you guys just kept walking. I show up to class like 5 minutes later, out of breath, and I just kick the door open. I'm like, fuck you. Then our arthritic teacher turns around because he can't move his neck, and he's like, Mr. Two Bananas, sit down. So yes, you were very gradual in your anger buildup.
Yeah, so it works for me, right? Because then, like, somewhere in that process, I slip in the, I'm really upset. I'm getting angry. I am angry, you know? And it's enough to let them know, like, right off the bat, like, oh, shit.
Yeah,
it's really pissed off. But then, like, you know, I think we really have to think about, what are we trying to do? You're trying to get your kids to behave in a way that you know that they're supposed to behave, right?
You're trying to install discipline through disciplining.
Right, exactly. And I think where we kind of lose ourselves or get lost in the sauce, I like saying that.
Lost in the sauce.
The sauce. The mumra sauce.
Mumra.
Effort jizzing sauce. Where we get lost in
If anybody ever skips episode 3 and goes straight to 4, they're like, the fuck they keep saying mumra? Mumra. Snarf.
Mumra was, or Thundercats was one of my mom's favorite shows. So I've been referencing Thundercats and Mumra since I was a kid. Anyway.
Ho.
I think where we get lost in the sauce is the fact that, like, what's the goal? Like, I said it, you said it about your parents. It initially starts from anger. You get mad at your kids because they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
You get upset because I think you get upset because whatever they're doing is usually dangerous or something that can endanger others, or something that's just, don't pull your pants down in public. Right.
Like, or something that you've told them a million times, right? Like, you're doing that because they should know better. They should. But they might not. And I think every kid is different. So some kids need a good...
Really? Kids are different? Holy shit, bro. Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more.
I think maybe some kids need to get spanked. Really.
Yeah. I think we've been dancing around it because it's not popular to say, but I don't think corporal punishment is 100% bad.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I mean, there's an entire generation of children who have not been spanked growing up right now. And I'll leave that out on the floor. So, no, like, I think you're right. I think it starts out from initially a place of anger and frustration. You should pause before you move forward with your punishment at that point. Understand your own feelings before you then punish, so that you're not just saying, I'm angry, and smacking the shit out of your kid, right? Like, going back to the example, Lola smashed Gigi's face into a table. It was one of those little Disney, like, felt tables, but still. I was initially angry. I could have grabbed her and smacked the crap out of her, but I had to be like, she doesn't understand what she did wrong. I'm angry. Goose Fraba.
Yeah.
What movie was that one?
Anger management.
Yeah, anger management. Yeah. Like, I'm angry because she hurt her sister. Her sister's much smaller than her. She doesn't know better than her. Cap that anger. Come back, redirect her, and be like, hey, that wasn't nice. You hurt her. She's crying. I need to take her away to feel safe now. You understand daddy's angry because you did that. So now you need a punishment. So then a little quick, swift tap on the butt. Not a big spank, because if I would have went with the original feeling, that first anger, understanding our own feelings, smack the hell out of her. I think that's the ticket. It's not wrong to hit your kids. Just understand that it can't come from a place of anger, and you need to maybe validate the feelings first, explain the situation, and then give them the repercussions of what their actions.
Yeah, and by the time you go through all those steps, like,
you've probably calmed down enough that you're not going to
want to.
Yeah. I don't think I ever want to hit my kids. I mean, prime example, your story. Like, your son won. You won the battle, but he won the war that night. Like,
yeah, no, he definitely did.
You were the one who came back to the table and were distraught the rest of the day.
Yeah,
he went to bed after 10 minutes of crying.
No, yeah, he definitely beat me that day. And, you know, because of that interaction, I feel like the interactions with number 3 are going to be so much more different because
you're older and wiser.
Well, yeah. And, you know, maybe the idea that, like, our parents were spoiling our younger siblings isn't really true, right? Maybe they learned.
Yeah.
Maybe after your parents beat your ass enough times, they realized maybe beating the ass doesn't work because
Black and Violet.
We're still beating his ass and we still find reasons to beat his ass.
Yeah.
And now he's traumatized and he can't wear shorts. I don't know.
Jeans for life.
Something's wrong with our child. He refuses to wear shorts.
My dad's like, why don't you ever bring your bathing suit and come swim in our pool? I was like, I don't wear shorts.
You could get a whole wetsuit. You could get like the bottom part of a wetsuit.
They make jean bathing suits. I've looked into it. I'm not even kidding.
You're gonna retire. You're gonna be an old man, and something's gonna happen. You're gonna have an awakening, and you're never gonna wear jeans again.
No, I'm gonna tell them, bury me in my jeans.
No, and then your wife's gonna end up leaving.
100 years from now, they will excavate my friggin' grave, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, vintage Levi's."
Nah, man, you're gonna go through a midlife crisis. Something's gonna happen. You're gonna have like
I'll be the dad with the cargo pants.
You're gonna self-actualize. You're gonna change into cargo pants, and your wife's gonna leave you. I married him for his jeans.
Those legs are way too hairy. No, but I mean, I think what we've been saying this whole time, like kind of dancing around and talking about how we were disciplined and how we were disciplining kids, is that it's hard. Disciplining is hard, right? And the reason we discipline is because we want our children to grow up in a way that we think is correct, right? In a way that we think is a good way to live. And I think that kind of goes back to everything we were saying before, in that the only reason we want them to be raised the way we're trying to raise them is because we're trying to make them a happier person than we are. And it's paradoxical because sometimes the punishments we give them, the discipline we give them, makes them less happy at that point in time. But it will eventually bring, at least in our goals, more happiness to them in how they handle life. They're not going to be as messed up as we were. I think we need to, for those of us who, I know I was a lot more like, no, I'm going to discipline my kids physically, while you were a little less that way. I think all of us need to stop and say, okay, yeah, I was raised that way. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong either. We need to take the good with the bad and work from there.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like you need to synthesize everything that's out there. There is no rule that you need to be, I'm this way of a parent. Right. You know? Even go to religions, right? Like even in the religions, there's different ways of doing it. Like if you're Christian, right? Old Testament God's different than New Testament God and how he punished his children. Like he got to a point where he was like, you know what? I'm gonna try a different path. I'm a gentle parent. These humans going forward.
No more telling you to sacrifice your firstborn son.
Yeah, no more saying, hey, that was just a joke. Here's a goat. Sacrifice that instead. You know, like no more. You know what? I'm gonna burn down that whole village. And if you look behind you, you're a pillar of salt.
I was just joking about the Canaanites.
Yeah. You know what? I feel bad about flooding the world. Here's a rainbow. You know, that was Old Testament God was on his first kids. New Testament God is on the second and third kid.
Is stepdad and third kid God.
So like even in our religions, there's a clear example of you're hard at first and then you learn from it. So I think we're trying to skip ahead so that we don't have to be hard at first. Whether or not that'll pay out in the future, we'll all see. But I think we just need to understand that our children aren't trying to be bad.
Right.
Caveat, there probably are some kids out there, like, have you ever seen that movie The Good Son? I think it was with Macaulay Culkin, where he was just like an evil kid to the bone, like trying to kill his brother. there are some kids who might be bad. There are some people who are just born bad. There are not Ted Nugent, Ted Bundy's. You know, like,
are you sure they're not Al Bundy's?
I messed it up. I called him Ted Nugent. That's like a singer. There are people who are born wrong. Nothing you can do about that. But I mean, for the vast majority of people, your kids aren't bad. And you're not a bad parent for disciplining them, because discipline is meant to evoke discipline.
Right.
It's supposed to put honor, respect, sense of structure into your kids so that they are equipped to go out into the world and be happy.
Right. And there is no blanketed solution for
There's not.
how to discipline your kids.
Actually, I have a theory that there was a perfect book on how to perfectly parent children at the Library of Alexandria. And it was lost when Genghis Khan burnt it.
That's some Rugrats, Dr. Leibowitz shit. I ain't reading no fucking 3,000-year-old text about how to discipline your children.
Nobody is, because it was destroyed at the library.
Oh, yeah. Make sure your kids are out there sowing oats.
Did you literally go back
weeds
to Dr. Leibowitz for... No, Lipschitz.
Dr. Lipschitz?
From Rugrats? Did you get that was actually a joke, saying how, like, she wasn't being a present parent?
Yeah.
I just got that recently.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching, I was like, oh my God, they were joking about the fact that she was so
paying attention.
She was so drawn to the fact of, I need to be the perfect parent, following all these parent books, that she was being an absent parent. That's why that first season episode, like, Tommy just kind of disappeared and, like, was lost at school.
Yeah, those babies were always just dipping out on her.
Yeah.
Like, they were just opening the thing like nothing.
Yeah.
And just walking away.
I feel like there was an episode much later where they actually met Dr. Lipschitz and he was a quack.
Yeah, it was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it makes sense. Like, make money off of
like,
desperate moms. Desperate first-time moms.
We could sit here and write the Joey Two Bananas and Frankie the Tanky perfect way of parenting, and some people will buy it, you know? When in reality, we're just making it up. Like, there's no wrong way to parent your kids as long as you're actually parenting them and you're not abusing them, you're not doing something wrong. Yeah. Just as long as your goal and your actions lead to a happier kid, there's no wrong way of parenting.
Yeah.
And whether you choose positive punishment, negative punishment, positive reinforcement, or negative reinforcement, however you choose to install that discipline, I think it works as long as you're not fixed on what you're doing.
As long as it's your way.
It needs to be your way, but it needs to also be flexible.
Yeah.
You can't be like, the only way to raise my child is to beat their fucking ass.
Well, yeah. And then each kid is different.
Because maybe you need to beat their face. No.
Well, each kid is different, right? And then everybody goes through different phases, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at me and my brother. We had completely different discipline styles when we were kids that changed us as adults. And now we're completely different, older adults.
I was raised harder than all my siblings. And I turned out to be totally different as an adult than they did.
Yeah.
Like you said, with your brother, there was a different parenting style with each of them, and we all turned out vastly different. Yeah. That's what I'll say. So I think you're never going to get it right.
Nah.
Because that book was lost at the Library of Alexandria. No one will ever get it right.
All I can say is, if you do beat your kids, don't let the schools find out.
They fell down the steps.
I got a white as ghost moment at the school recently. Number one got in trouble again. He was like, "Oh, my dad's gonna beat me." And they were like, "Oh, dad's not gonna do that." And then the administrator, the guidance counselor, everybody that was there just looked at me. "Dad's not gonna beat you, right?" And I was like, "Of course not."
Of course not. I'm not gonna back smack the crap out of you and put a piece of soap in a sock so nobody sees the bruises. Things you learn from Hollywood movies.
Yikes.
I think that was Full Metal Jacket.
Either way, beating my older kids doesn't work. I'll stick to the comical backhand.
Whoa.
But number 3, I don't know yet.
That was less of Three Stooges and more of Dr. Zoidberg.
Dr. Zoidberg, that was a definite. But I thought Dr. Zoidberg was based off of the Three Stooges.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Going back to what we're saying, raise the kids the way that works for you, as long as you know what you're doing is flexible enough to account for their personalities, and you're not stuck in one way of raising them, and you're not doing it in a way that you're doing it out of anger, or you're doing it just because, well, I was beat, so I'm going to beat them. Because none of us are perfect. And you're never going to find one size fits all solution to disciplining your children. If that solution existed, evolution would stop as a human species. We would stop. If we were all perfect, that's it. It wouldn't be fun. Yeah. We wouldn't be humans.
Things wouldn't be interesting. The human experience.
What I'm saying is, don't forget to beat your kids.
What the fuck?
Wasn't that like what Bender said at the end of an episode one time?
I think so. On the Futurama.
Yeah, he was like, have you ever stopped and thought, maybe I should beat my kids?
Every once in a while.
Yeah, like, so, no, just raise your kids. Take their personalities into account and understand that just because it happened to you doesn't mean it needs to happen to them.
Yeah.
But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to traditional disciplining either.
Yeah, don't let shows like Bluey brainwash you.
Yo. It's a good show.
I fucks with that show.
I fucks with it too.
That show is great.
Yo, but they do some stuff on that show that I'm like, yo, respect.
But number 2 tries to act like real life Bluey, and there are times I have to tell her, like, listen, I'm not Bandit Healer. You are pissing me off right now. You need to get out of my face because I'm working right now.
That's actually been you know what? Maybe we talk about this next episode. Because my daughter does that. She's like, I'm climbing Mount Daddy, like they did on Bluey. Yeah. And I'm like, and this is something I learned from my wife recently. There's such a thing called overtouched, where your children have just touched you too much for the day, and you are now overstimulated. And you're like, if somebody else touches me, I'm gonna lose my crap. And so my daughter's climbing on me. I'm like, I need you to get off of me because right now I want to throw my skin away because I've been touched too much today. Like, it's a thing, and maybe we discuss it next time. And you don't want to hit them for that because they watched Bluey and they want to climb Mount Daddy and they're just playing with you. But you're just like, I am frustrated, I am angry, and I don't want a single person touching me. And there's a diaper literally teabagging me right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm over it.
Oh yeah,
I'm over it.
So maybe we talk about that next time.
It's a good subject.
I think we just need to all kind of breathe, take a pause, and realize the newest fad isn't the best way of doing things, and the old way isn't the best way of doing things. Every child is an individual. Every parent is an individual, and you need to find what works for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is for you. I know what that is for me, I think.
Take it easy on yourself.
Yeah.
Really. Because just because you're not following the instruction manual that some quack doctor like Dr. Leibowitz has put
Lipschitz.
Lipschitz. Whatever.
You just like the name Leibowitz. I don't know. You're thinking of like psychology names.
Anyway, Dr. Lipschitz, right? Don't worry about following the Dr. Lipschitz shit because sometimes it doesn't work.
Be the Al Bundy of your dreams. No.
Be the Al Bundy. Well, the midpoint between Al Bundy and Jay Pritchett.
Be the Jay Pritchett. Don't be the Al Bundy.
Yeah. There you go.
As always, we appreciate you all listening to us. I still enjoy doing this. You enjoy doing this, Frank the Tank?
Yeah.
We may not be giving you answers, but we'll at least talk about things, go through it with you while we get drunker and drunker.
Yeah. Being a dad fucking sucks sometimes. Sometimes it's good to just lay it out there.
Screw that guy. Being a dad is awesome, but you still got to talk about it.
Yeah.
So this has been Hi Podcast. I'm Dad. And we'll catch you in about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
Peace.
Peace.